Cafe, Weird Radio Russell Dowden, and so much more. American Freedom Radio.
Well, thank you kindly for joining us today, folks. We are live this Tuesday, waiting on Machon, the MI5 whistleblower. Daniel, go ahead and try her again. She said she had the phone in front of her this time, and we'll just stop that, too. And oh, you got her. Okay. I think my producer just said that we have her, so we're going to go with that. Machon, been on the program quite a few times. We always enjoy having her. She is a former intelligence officer for MI5, the UK security service, who reigned in 1996 to blow the whistle on the spies' incompetence and the crimes with her ex-partner, as you know him, David Shaler. To date, Annie is an author, a media pundit, a journalist, a campaigner, and a prominent public speaker on a variety of issues, including security and intelligence, the war on terror, the press and media freedoms, secrecy, legislation, and government accountability. She resides somewhere in Europe at an undisclosed location. Annie Machon, thank you for joining us on the show. Do we have you?
You do indeed. It's a pleasure to be back.
It's great to have you. It's been a long time. What have you been up to the last, was it about a year or so ago since we last had you on? What have you been occupying your time with? Probably pesky ideas to give the people freedom, right?
That sort of thing, yeah. I've been causing as much mischief as possible. I've been very involved in organising some tours for some prominent truth campaigners in Europe, people like Richard Gage and David Ray Griffin come over and done European-wide tours. And then I've just completed a tour myself across Canada, and that went very well, so that was fab.
Your book, Spies, Lies, and Whistleblowers, MI5, and the David Shaler Affair is still out for people to get, and they can probably get it at your website, AnnieMachon.com.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my book is sort of available just about, but I gather it's out of print now, so I need to have words with my publishers.
Yes. Very important book for my listeners to read if they haven't already. Maybe Brave New Bookstore here, or BraveNewBookstore.com, has some extra copies. You can maybe find them on eBay. You should be selling your own books on eBay with your autograph and capitalizing.
I think I'll do that with the next one. I'll self-publish.
How is the truth doing in Europe, Annie? People still well receiving the ideas, the information of false flag terrorism, 9/11, of course British bombings. How are people receiving this? Is it dying out, or is it snowballing? How is it going?
Well, it's going pretty well, but I would say there's still blockages with the mainstream media and the sort of political classes. They're still very resistant to some of these ideas. But in terms of people coming to public meetings and listening to what people have to say, there's a lot of enthusiasm, and there's also a lot of anger about what's been going on in the Middle East. Not to mention, of course, the erosion of all our freedoms in our countries over here in the name of the war on terror. So there's, I wouldn't call it an anti-Americanism, but certainly an anti-American imperialism.
Well, doesn't everybody in Europe just love Obama, and they're so happy that we got rid of Bush and that the world can come together again as one government, it's one world? I mean, are people because this is the news we read over here, Annie, is that people were just outside themselves. As you know, he spoke in Germany, and they just showed the crowds and how excited they were to see and to touch the hem of his robe. And I wonder if some of that's worn off like it has over here.
I wouldn't say there was an overwhelming enthusiasm for him over here anyway. A number of our countries have gone through something similar, particularly the UK, where, of course, we had Tony Blair elected back in 1997. And everyone was terribly enthused about this, a change from the old corrupt regime. And he'd bring new hope. And then, of course, he didn't. So there's perhaps a little more cynicism over here about the whole Obama project. And also an awareness that he's very much in the pocket of Wall Street and big business, and he's not going to live up to the promises he made.
Yeah. We don't talk about the wars over here anymore. None of this even gets out. The media doesn't even mention the dead and dying, the paramilitary attacks on civilians in the Middle East, the land grabs. None of this. It's all, a domestic policy, and very important. The people are rebelling here against some of the domestic policy, which is good to see finally. It almost seems as if that is a trigger mechanism to wake people up. I wonder if they're ready for what we have to share finally.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Because we need to stop the sort of wars in the Middle East because people are dying needlessly, both our own soldiers and the civilians in their hundreds of thousands. But also, of course, the impact of this sort of corrupt big business and the whole economic framework is causing pain across the world. So we really do need to get out there and start getting active and take back our democratic power.
Yeah, but again, I mean, the motivation is finally there, and I guess in this country it took Obama and maybe the failed promises, because nobody expected anything from George Bush. There were a few mindless Stepford Republicans that did. Of course, after 9/11, as you know, the approval rating skyrocketed. The support for George Bush was just incredible, almost more than we've seen even for Obama, and then it just took a few years for that to fall through the floor. It appears that people maybe have had the hypnosis broken through the broken promises and the hypocrisy that is ongoing.
Well, you sort of hope so in a way, because even if it is just the domestic policy that wakes people up, once they do start pulling at the thread, then they suddenly realise there's a whole interlinked corruption that needs sorting out.
Yeah.
But I suppose Obama didn't really have much of a chance in a way, because there was such a mess for him to inherit. Not just the economic problems, but I mean, he's expanding the wars in the Middle East. It may not be reported over in America, but it's getting worse. You know, he's going in incursions in Pakistan, and hundreds of people are dying on a regular basis. So we've got to put a stop to this as fast as we can.
That's his excuse, of course. He inherited George Bush's mess, and I believe it was George Bush that said he inherited Bill Clinton's mess. And Bill Clinton, I mean, we just hear this every 4 to 8 years, of course, over here. And then, yes, they do nothing to scale back the attack on civil liberties. They do nothing, again, to support our Constitution, which is kind of one of our little sticking points here, Annie.
Well, you have a Constitution. You're lucky. The UK, of course, doesn't.
You guys still have the Magna Carta. Come on.
Well, it's been ripped up a bit. We've never had a proper Bill of Rights. We've never had a proper written constitution that laid out the rights and responsibilities between the citizen and the state in the UK. We've never had anything like that.
Well, that's why you obey. No.
We are subjects, yeah. We are merely subjects.
You are. The Queen has no power. She has no money whatsoever. Look the other way, folks. Gordon Brown wants a new world order every day, and he's working very diligently with the IMF and the banking cabal and even Barry Obama. Though I kind of noticed that Obama doesn't get along very good with him. He doesn't get along very good with Angela Merkel. He doesn't get along very good with Sarkozy. Those guys really don't like him very much, it seems.
Well, I think they see a lot of their economic pain coming from the U.S. situation, so it's probably not really enthusing them about the whole situation.
Blame the U.S. and not the international bankers. They had absolutely nothing to do with any of this. But you know, the thing is that when you start confiscating people's property, when you start closing down their bank runs, and you know, people have to work 2 and 3 jobs because of the inflation, because of how fast they're printing the money, as you know, I mean, they tend to get a little pissed off.
Well, of course they do. I mean, you know, people work hard to make a good wage and to have a decent level of living. But I think the whole system is so mucked up now that it's going to be impossible to claw back any semblance of the quality of life that we've enjoyed over the last decade. You know, both the US and the UK economies are now in hock for decades. Virtually the debts are unmanageable. Just servicing the interest on those debts is unmanageable. And yet they still think, oh, well, we can pay more money out for more wars, and it'll somehow magically right itself. It's not going to. People need to take action.